Sure. Normal event. Nothing too fancy. Okay, who do we have on there? We have Mark and Kathy. Mark, Kathy, myself.
Yeah, Mark's on. Here I am.
Kathy's here.
Hi, Kathy. We have Johanna's not going to be able to make it tonight. I'm not sure about John. Hopefully he'll hop on shortly, but we can get this meeting started. It's 6:03 Thursday, May 26th. We have Kathy Mercer and Mark Rosenthal on Zoom. Myself, Matt McMahon, Will Jamerick over here in the office. Okay. Approval of prior minutes. Does anyone have any questions regarding the prior minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve prior minutes? Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Officer reports.
At the financial report here, the account balances of 429 are listed here. There's a couple of notations. Masters at 419 to 53. Even the reserve, we have a reserve for the master that's main reserve that we have.
I'm sorry, Sean, we're having trouble hearing you. Could you speak up, please?
And I just turned the air off. It'll cycle off here just a minute because I know that causes an issue too. So I just turned it off.
You sit in the middle of the table like the TP staff.
My apologies. Thank you.
So what I was stating is that we don't have statements for the reserve accounts on the operating this month. There's a statement in the financials to say that the statements weren't available and reconciliation was not done. So we don't know exactly what those balances are for those two accounts, but the master operating was 419,253. Sagewood comes in at 258,83.95. Westlake is $51,103.79. Paired Villas, 248,983.03, and then Sandpiper is 113,67.58. So the one thing that is that the reserve on the and I'm going to jump down to the reserve transfer item on my list here that you guys can't see, but the Sandpiper reserve went up $4,500 and change by accident sometime in April. There was a transfer made in February out of the reserves in the master. I think some of you saw an email on this, and then it showed up as a deposit in the Sandpiper reserve. So we're recommending that we take that money and put it back into the master reserve because it was done in error. At this point, I have not gotten an explanation on how it happened from associate, but that's the where we saw it go to and from. So we'll just put it back at this point. Going over the taxes, finished the review of the taxes. Ron, the tax accountant, conferred with me that we basically weren't filing the non-exempt income correctly, and he corrected it. The taxes have been signed and sent to associate for payment. We ended up with a $2,292 tax liability for 2022. Looking back at the other taxes that we did prior years, we obviously made that error from the get-go. So it would be prudent for us, because I've kind of turned our hand a little bit, to maybe go back at least 3 years and do an amendment and actually correct that with penalties. The reason I'm making that suggestion is that I also found out that we didn't have our 501c4 filed according to the IRS, which is a requirement when we started. So it actually goes back to the actual, founder didn't do it correctly. They did get an EIN number, and at the bottom of the EIN number award letter, it states, file the 1120H tax forms, which is the HOA tax forms. So when I called the IRS, I pointed that out to them. They said, okay, well, if you file this, we've already kind of given you permission to do the other. We'll have no issues with it, but go ahead and file the paperwork. So I filled out the paperwork electronically, paid the $50 fee, and it's being processed at this point. They'll ask for some tax returns and things that before it's over, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So that's why I'm recommending doing it. It's kind of turned our hand that we've made some mistakes. They might look. So that's why I would rather pay the back taxes than let it sit and find out they're going to charge us for not doing it. So that's kind of my, and they're not as large as this year. We made quite a bit of money in exempt income this past year compared to others. So it should be fair. I'll get those numbers going as soon as I can. Talked about the reserve transfer, and the biggest conversation I want to have is about the budget at the moment. We had, the litigation with Sandpiper Crest, which we've talked about before, where we spent some money to make the changes to adopt the apron issue to our architectural guidelines. And it cost us money to do so. And then the builder, Park Square, is going to reimburse us. Now, I haven't seen that reimbursement hit the accounts, but my understanding is that Tommy has seen the check.
Sorry to interrupt, but I reported that month before last, was March, I think.
Right.
That the money was received. I received the check. It was sent off. It was positive and reflective. It's reflective in your financials. If you look at that GL.
I don't see it as backing out the income though. I mean, the expense on it. So it shows a negative number where that should wash.
Yeah, it was deposited. I have these. I need to pull your financials, but are you not seeing it on the bank statements?
I didn't see it on the bank statement, but
Okay,
more
I have
important,
a note to ask Julie about that tomorrow.
and then more importantly, I didn't see the actual positive credit go against the actual expense for the legal reimbursements. It should
It was put against legal expenses, the operating costs, because that's where all your charges were coming from. So if you looked at that month financials, you will see the deposit in there. And I can pull that for you.
Yeah,
But it was in my manager's report.
currently that's driving a negative balance in the accounts. So I'll have to look more carefully, but
In the
Jason, I know
legal
we look
costs,
pretty
in
carefully.
the legal costs account?
In our, the account that we're showing for the legal reimbursement shows a $52,000 expense, but there's no income that I could see that's carried forward thus far. It could have showed up on this month's that we haven't seen till next month.
It was in there. It was in there. I reported it at a board meeting.
But I understand, but I don't see it in the financials, that's all. And so I need to look a little more carefully. Maybe I did miss it.
Right.
If I recall, it does show up in the March financials. It's just strange that the April's financial jumps from 17 to 52.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Why is there a discrepancy there? The whole point. In any event, with
Okay,
that being a wash, if that's what's going to come out, it's just something that we haven't accounted for yet. That's a good thing because we've had some unforeseen other expenses. We're currently have 6 line items that are now over 100% or larger, some in the 120% range. We're just in the 4th month.
Can we go back to that subject?
Sure.
We were just talking about? The 40,000 was put in your income line item, 4720 legal reimbursements.
Which month?
4720, it was your income line item. Well, it shows year to date, 52,700, and 40,000 of that is that check. You have to remember that when people are paying the late fees and all of that, that also adds to it. So when you look at the GL report for that GL line item, you'll see the itemized, you'll see that 40,000 in there.
Okay, I'll double check it, but it didn't seem to balance to me. That's why. So even with that number, if it's $40,000, so it's $12,000 expense that was done.
This is an
in
expense,
March.
this is your income line item.
I know, but there's
no expenses on that.
understood.
Okay,
Understood, but I'm just showing there's a 12,000, that would show a $12,000 variance, right? So,
well, there's other income going in there. Legal reimbursements from residents that are paying the late fees.
well, right now we're paying directly, they're taking care of that, George is taking care of that directly.
Not the late fees though.
Mankin and Law.
So that's the legal fees. That's a different line item. That's your operating expense line item.
Right,
We don't get any bills from Mankin. You do get bills from George. So his bills go to
right, the
the
legal
operating
expense,
expense for legal expenses. On your income line item, legal reimbursements, the $40,000 check for Sandpiper went in there, plus late fees paid by residents. So if you have a resident that has 300 in assessments and 25 in late fees, Mankin's gonna collect 325. Then that's gonna hit and 25 gets put in legal reimbursements. So that's where you're seeing that influx of that.
but the late fee should be actually in, we have a category for late fees.
Legal reimbursement, yeah, the late fees on that,
Yeah.
which is right above that.
Should not be in the legal, it should be in the late fees for the late fee part.
Yeah, we're gonna have, we'll pull the G out and we'll look at the itemized to find out, but to answer your original question, 40,000 went in that legal
Okay,
reimbursement.
I'll have to
If you
check.
want to move to a different GL, it can definitely move.
That's fine. I just wanted to take a look at that because it didn't seem to balance to me when I'm looking at the numbers at that
As
time.
well,
So the other thing that I saw was and this is probably a minute problem, but we have two categories for this that's been hitting the social committee's budget. One is community events and the other one is, I can't remember the ledger number, but we hit that with $457 this month. I think it was for the last event, but it looks like it's miscategorized, but I'll send you an email on that.
Okay.
So but in any event, let me get back to the conversation. With that being out of the equation, it makes it a better situation. But at the rate of burn at this point, we're still going to be seeing a problem come down the line a little bit more. And it won't be as large of a problem because if the 40,000 is in there, then we've overspent $12,000 and we only had budgeted $300 for legal reimbursement this year because we were assuming it was going to be a total pass-through. So that's one problem. The other problems are we have 6 other line items that are over 100% at the 4th month of the game. So that we have to be very cautious of how we're spending at this point. That was really the reason for the explanation. Other than that, we do also have another draw that is going to post $120,000 and change that goes to the service areas and the reserve. We applying $75,000 to pool reserve. This goes into our account, but it comes out of our cash. So that makes us, $120,000 short on our cash draw at this point. So the 419 you're seeing in the bank, which is got some prepaid assessments and so forth that I can't track at this moment. I can, but we haven't been able to break it down as a moment, is a little bit tainted, and I'll explain why. Our finances that we get from associate at this point gives us a perfect world income-wise for assessments. 100% collected every single month, amortized over the 12 months. That's not how it goes. I mean, we really don't have that actually happen. So if we have a shortfall, the cash could be lower than what actually the financials reflect because it's showing 100% collections all the time. And I know that not to be true because I've seen the reports that show who's behind. So that makes a difficult following on that part. So there's an area of gray there as well. So all those things are things that we're kind of tracking and know they're put as we get tighter. I'll be able to give you day by day kind of numbers so we can see where we're at and what we can spend if we have anything that's out of the ordinary. That makes sense. Any questions? I'll go over that with you. Maybe tomorrow we can go over that ledger if you don't mind. Okay, that'd be great. Perfect. Here's my report.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, I have a report. Yesterday, board, we got together, we had a closed board meeting. We pretty much discussed current status of employees and management relations. We have made a determination that we will not be renewing our contract with Associa. That is up this September. We will be starting to pursue other options. One of the big ones amongst them are doing a kind of a hybrid self-management solution where we will have employees on staff, a bookkeeper on staff, and a CAM on staff. Heather Bates will be staying with Associa. We are hoping to be able to retain Jennifer and James, our maintenance. We are in the works of doing that as of right now. And a letter just went out today to Associa, letting them know of our intent to not renew. If there are a lot of questions regarding that subject, I feel free to hold them till the end of this meeting so we could get through with business items. And that's all I have to report for right now. Community managers report?
Before I go into that, resident came in from a portion of watercolor between blue hydrangea. Oh, I cannot remember the rest of the street. They're wanting to block off a portion of these homes highlighted here. And it's only affecting these homes here.
Mhm.
They have, it's a neighborhood block party.
Sure.
And as long as they have ingress and egress for other residents, and it's only affecting these homes that go between these two streets, Blue Hydrangea and this one right
Right.
here. And these are the signatures of all the homeowners. So they're asking the board to sign this permission so they can send that back off to Hillsborough County. So I will leave this here for you
Okay.
to review.
Yeah, I'll take a peek at that. I don't really have a problem with it,
I didn't think you
but
would.
they're sending this back to the county then.
Yeah, the county's requiring them to do it because they're blocking off the street.
It's actually,
And it's only affecting those homes.
Right, and they're all.
So no one else, everybody else can go around that
Sure.
block. So I'm gonna leave,
CED property.
no, they don't require CDD on that one. It's county street.
It's the same thing we discovered when we were looking at.
Yeah,
the-
it's just the street. They're not using
They're not
anything in the
using the
back.
property.
If they were using the back areas. that would be
I'm okay with it. Does
another
anyone
reason.
have any objections against that?
Okay,
No.
so then you can sign that. Well, you're.
Yep, thank you.
With the other thing. CDD board meeting is going to be Thursday, June 2nd, 10 o'clock. Remind everybody about the YMCA summer group swim lessons, June 27th to July 1st, 10 to 12 p.m. The financials were provided a little late this month on the 24th. That was due to some adjustments that I saw that needed to be made. There's still a couple that need to be adjusted, some reclass that you'll see in the May financials. GL 5196, which right now money has not moved. Sean and I sat, I wanted to make sure I put the money in the right spot. You've seen that email, so I've already done that, and that'll be reflected in May. If we go back to the many people that received the notice of late assessment, the notices, out of all those, 166 had not paid. They got sent to the attorney yesterday. Mankin has collected since your last board meeting just under $3,500. You went over the taxes. I have provided our tax department the signed tax return to make the payment and to file. I did that 2 days ago. I did provide the audit. Communications went out to the community and.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. You said 166 residents went to Mankin and Walden.
Yep.
Okay. So just to, it is a lot. We know why. It's from the first quarter mess up with payments, and we obviously have 166 residents that probably are none aware of the issue at the moment. But this goes back to where they're filing on a GL on it, as you were talking. So we're expecting this, if status quo continues, to go under attorney reimbursements.
Attorney reimbursement for the dues or for the fees? Because the fees should actually be late fees.
It's gonna be late fees.
Yeah.
So where's that getting filed in? And I thought this pertains to the same conversation we were just having a minute ago.
The assessments and the late fees section,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a late fees. a bunch of them.
And
Okay.
the homeowner pays Mankin directly.
Right.
for the fees.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So the only thing that we see, if the total bill is $500 and includes attorney fees, the attorney keeps their attorney fees.
We just see
and
that.
Cuts a check, sends it straight to Associa.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I
That's okay.
disregard. I thought it was kind of the same line.
And I went through that list and you saw me today on
I
the
did,
phone,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's
We
fine.
actually had no,
Yeah, it's not weird.
so we actually had no new owners as of May that we are aware of. The ARC manual, that is going to be on your June board meeting. The intent is for it to be on your June board meeting. So just a reminder that we need to give 14 days notice to the community for that document to go out or be available to review.
Mhm.
I'm gonna skip over things that are on your agenda. Signature cards were revised and updated as of April 29th. Reserve study, the revised based on your meeting, was provided to the Board of Finance Committee on the 20th of May. Your fire protection, the board voted to contract with Piper Fire. The annual inspections of the fire systems and the installation of the fire panels. Panels were installed and fully operational and being monitored as of May 19th. I did contact the fire inspector and let him know that you were in contract. We're moving forward with that. So I let him know on the same day everything was operational that he was good to go, and Piper would be scheduling his re-inspection. On the pool, JR is now a certified pool operator. It doesn't mean that he can take over for your contractor, but he's learning. So the intent of that was if you wanted to eventually have him maintain your pool, he would need a little bit more training because the certification didn't cover everything that you have, but he wants to move forward with learning that. So eventually you could just have him do it. So having a contractor. Umbrellas, we did budget this year to replace 4 umbrellas. JR is going to be ordering those replacements. He's also going to be looking into replacement for next year for budget purposes, the replacement of tables and chairs, not the loungers, but the hard plastic four tops that are out there. So he will compile those three prices he's going to get from. The pool contractor reported that there were some deck drains that needed to be replaced, so I'm waiting for him to send me the quotes for those. The splash pad repairs, the parts were ordered and took a little time, but we got them ordered, and the anticipated ship date would be June 15th. I've already informed the contractor of that, and then once received, then I can schedule him to replace those parts on the splash pad. Fitness center. The machine is finally fixed. So without going into all the detail that was in my report, it was finally fixed, and the only thing we were charged for was the actual replacement part, no labor. Equipment replacement, I mentioned prior that I'm looking for to put in quotes for your 2023 budget to replace your equipment with a possible using your own machines to maybe get a credit or something towards that. I have found another company through one of my coworkers, so they have reached out to me, and I'm continuing to work on that. Same thing with the flooring in there. Sandpiper Crest Townhomes, we get better with the trash. I go through there at least once a week. The only thing that's really outstanding right now is that broken magnolia that's still sitting at an angle, and you've seen Tommy hasn't responded to my last 2 emails. So I will follow up on that. Sagewood, new development. Just before Sagewood Gate on the right-hand side, before the storage unit, there is going to be 18 townhomes built. I spoke with the owner of that parcel, and he will be clearing the land, setting it up with streets and sidewalks and whatnot for the builder to just come in and put in the townhomes. And it would take about 5 to 6 months to complete. We did talk about the prior damage done to the roundabouts in the areas, because he was also the one that owned where the medical building goes. So I just asked him to please have his construction crew be mindful of those areas.
May I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
So they're not going to be part of FHRW?
No, not that
They're
way.
separate?
Yeah, separate.
That wasn't sure.
Have you asked them that? Have they been approached on that?
Yeah.
They have no desire.
Pressure washing, there is a requirement to pressure wash Sagewood, as we know, every year for their documents. I do have the quote from Gear Diversified. Their quote from last year that we budgeted is still good. I've also reached out to Anthony Izzo, the one that did the pool. He's given me his quote. I'm waiting for the third quote to come in, and it's the intention to have that on your June agenda to vote for. The paved sitting area is on your agenda, same as the Westlake fence. The pool, I brought to their attention for Sunrise a lot of landscaping issues. And I did walk it, did talk to the crew leader last week, and I made sure everything was taken care of, with the exception of some plantings that go into the pots there, and some jasmine that needs to be put in that long area between the two pools. Other than that, they're getting caught up. Sod replacement for Sagewood and Paired Villas. I have the new supervisor inspecting all the yards in the Paired Villas and all the yards in Sagewood, and getting a determination of how much sod needs to be replaced on certain homes. He's going to submit that back to me. It's the intention to have it on your June agenda for a July install. So we're in the rainy season and have a lot more rain at that time. And that would complete my report.
Perfect, thank you. Committee reports.
Most of the committee for Westlake is going to be covered in the items below.
Perfect. Johanna was unfortunately unable to attend, but she did want me to report on behalf of the social committee. We do have the Foamboree party coming up on
The 4th.
June 4th. We also have food trucks on June 4th as well, directly after the Foamboree party. That is also posted on Facebook. Please be on the lookout for that. All right.
Is that day again, June 4th?
June 4th.
Yeah,
June 4th. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me what time that starts.
it's 5 to 7 for the jamboree.
5 to 7 for the Jamboree, and then we have, I think, 5 to 8. on the food truck. Okay, we'll move on to old business. Westlake fence.
Did a formal meeting and a formal election, and the results came in at 76% of the members actually participated. They voted to remove the fence and plant a hedge instead, to remove the wooden fence off entirely, clean up that space and put a hedge in that space.
Okay, hedge, I'm guessing podocarpus.
Well, that's the one I recommended. We quoted the podocarpus, the company that has them has 6 foot, like 2 foot podocarpus for $35. So the price is exactly what we needed to do to make it.
I unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab my secondary laptop.
No worries.
I know I included, we had that originally quoted in there, right?
Yes.
Podocarpus?
Yep.
Do we know the dollar amount on that?
Yeah, the total amount is 14,000 and change for the whole process. So remove the fence, to put the podocarpus in and fix the irrigation. I need the exact numbers. I don't have them in front of me. That's it.
14,916. That's for Westlake fence. Okay, any questions for deliberation on that item? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the $14,916 to get the fence removed and replaced with podocarpus. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
She had a
Yeah,
question.
so-
before-
I'm sorry.
I have a couple questions that weren't answered when Sean did survey. So a couple questions I have
Mhm.
is because I have to look at it. The irrigation is on the top of the brim and not at the bottom where he described of putting the bushes along the chain link fence. So I was wondering, what's gonna happen there? And then the cost between the wooden fence and the chain link fence. And also, are the homeowners that have a fence in their yard, are they gonna be responsible for making their fence straight versus crooked? Or are we just leaving that up to the county to penalize them for it not being in?
Well, I could answer a few of those. Irrigation, we could fix if it's an issue. That's usually a fairly cheap, if we gotta move it, we move it.
Well, it's
We're gonna be adding another line.
Yeah, most likely get a drip line for the podocarpuses all on
I was
there.
gonna say, yes.
The space in between, I believe we were already working on a quote from Sunrise to clear that out, or they tried to clear it out and it started overgrowing again.
Which area?
Between the wooden fence and the chain
fence and
link.
the chain link.
Yeah, that's part of their contract. They're supposed to go in there and clean it
So
out.
when we get the fence removed,
They'll be
it'll
able to
be
clear it.
very easy to clear it out for them, which would be great on their part, to come in and clear it out before we plant. And do the irrigation, of course.
And the other thing is, I didn't see, have there been any quotes for those individual trees or bushes or how high we're gonna go?
We've had several for the Potocarpus. The end result is Sunrise is not only the cheapest, but since they are our landscaper, we definitely want to go with them for the bushes.
But they're gonna be how high?
They have to be 6 feet by law.
They're gonna get them as tall as they can.
And then the only thing I might mention is, double check before they dig for Turtle West. We do have a couple wander from there across.
Oh, and to answer your question on the homeowners that have existing fences, I don't know. No, I don't have a direct answer for that one yet. That's gonna be something we will work on, and we gotta maybe include the ARC in that, see how.
And
they
the
handle it.
other thing I know is where the young bull is in that portion of the fencing
Mhm.
from the school property. It's propped up with some wooden things, so I don't know, if you guys need to look at that, because after that weird fence is the chain link fence.
What's propped up, I'm sorry?
The bull's fencing, I don't know, I couldn't
But that's
see,
behind
it's
the
all
chain link.
overgrown.
It's behind the chain link.
Oh, is there two fences there?
There's a chain link fence that runs the whole length.
And then they have their own.
The other fence that you can see when you stick your head over the wooden fence easily is on the other side of that chain link fence, and that's the school's property.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
So who owns the bull, the school?
Yes,
Okay, well, I just gonna.
Yeah, that chain link fence and everything behind it is the school.
the 4-H club owns it, actually, from school.
May I clarify something in your motion?
Yes,
You said $14,916. That's Brighton's Club you have written down.
Is that Sunrise or both?
Sunrise.
Sunrise is, according to your notes on your package, 11,166.
Right, but that's not with the Potocarpus, that the quote that I got was for purchasing the Potocarpus separately and having them installed according to their labor costs. So that's where that was based at, using their labor and our plants, basically buying the plants separately.
Okay,
So it's a coincidence that the
It
motion
is.
amount matched
That's right.
Brightview's.
He
You're
wrote
not
it.
hiring Brightview to do it, you're
Right.
hiring Sunrise to do it.
Yes, yeah.
So is Sunrise going to be, are we going to Sunrise to give them that direction? Do you have a quote from them? Do you
Yes.
have, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
After we voted on it, I was gonna take care of the details with you on that, if that's okay.
absolutely, yeah, just so I know which direction you're taking. I
Yeah.
just got confused there. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I did too.
okay, so I mean, we're good. Sunrise, 14.9. If there's a problem with it, we'll take it back to the board. The Westlake landscaping.
Both of that was 79% voted to put it on hold temporarily because we'd like to pursue getting the irrigation issue solved at the West Island first, because there is no irrigation there, and putting money into plants there seemed to be kind of apropos without the watering. More importantly, it's the majority of the money is being spent on the island. It's actually in the best repair. So they wanted to research maybe doing something different with that. The committee is going to come up with some kind of designs and then give it over to management to quote,
Mhm.
and we'll take it from there. That'll be taken care of in the next several weeks.
Okay,
We're gonna move forward with it, but just putting on hold to get a better solution set for it.
okay. I'll make a motion to table the Westlake landscaping till next meeting.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I ask a question? Are we still holding off on the common areas, paired villas and sagewood mulch?
I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. Are any opposed on that?
No.
Motion carries. Okay, yeah, that was my next question. So we need to move forward with the mulch at this point. I think it's a good spot to do it. Again, I apologize for being unprepared for this. I would normally have my PDF in front of me. A quote for mulch for the community? How much are we
You
looking
guys
at
you already approved that in February.
for the whole community? We just held
You
it off,
approved
right?
it for the common areas, sagewood and paired villas. We weren't doing it for the townhomes because the builder has
The
already
builder's
done
still
that
there,
this year. So those 3 areas need the mulch.
All right, so we
got a
approved.
quote for our mulch.
And I got you the quote for the mulch. It's just sitting in all those.
Yeah.
Those quotes.
Okay, then I say we stop holding off on that. We allow you to get the mulch done on there unless there's any objections.
Can we, when the fence is taken out,
Mhm.
can the trees that are closest to the sidewalk, can we get the pine bark put in the mulch. At least I noticed those are on part of the island.
The plants will be mulched when
And
they.
then the lower part,
I
across the
understand, but they'll be-
street by
There'll be
the
mulch at the
sidewalk.
time, but I assume at that point we'll probably go forward with all of it, because it's probably the time frame we're looking at, to try to get it all done at once, the mulch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. If it's a mulch, if it's a mulchable area and if it's on HOA property, we're gonna mulch it.
Okay, yeah, it's just.
It's just a matter of when, right? Especially since we're gonna be ripping that fence out and doing a whole bunch of work there. We're gonna wanna hold off on that a little bit.
The mulch, does it include in the ditches, the trees? Or are we owners responsible for putting that in there? I know it's county.
The ditches,
property.
She's talking about the swales. Technically.
there
there's not
shouldn't
supposed
be
to-
any mulching. in there.
There's not supposed to be any mulch or trees
Okay,
in the
just
swales.
one person, I can't focus on.
I got this, Sean. If you're talking about in the swales, there should not be trees in the swales and there should not be mulching in the swales. I know there are trees in the swales. I'm aware of this, but they should not be there. And no, the ARC has, or the board, we have not taken a hard stand on going after those owners, telling them to rip it out as of yet. It's kind of undetermined what we're doing with that as of yet, but there should
Okay.
not be trees in the
Okay.
swales. So we definitely won't be mulching those.
Yeah, I didn't.
Actually, when they were planted, they weren't mulch, and people cut a mulch hole and mulch some of them.
Well, I put mulch down, I didn't know, because that's what.
Again, there's a reason we haven't taken a hard stand on it. Yeah. We get it. Okay, I think that works for that. Violation and fining policy. I don't have it in front of me. But did everyone get a chance to look it over? There were very minor changes made to it from the last time we talked about it. One of the main changes were to change the check back date for management to check if it has been resolved or not. We had changed that to allow management to go all the way up to the date of the fining hearing to check the property. This gives the homeowner more than ample enough time to comply and actually matches side by side with our ARC rewrite. It did not in the past, it does now. Anyone have any questions on that?
That makes sense.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to now approve the violation and fining policy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries. Dude. We're actually getting stuff done.
Quickly,
Good.
too.
This is good. This is very good.
3 more months down the road.
This is good.
Get us time.
Okay, on to new business, folks. ARC follow-up inspection resolution. Okay, Mark, this was you and I. You and I spoke about this a little bit. I think it's important we talk about it as a board and then go forth how we see fit here.
Sure.
I think part of this, Mark, I'll kick it off and then I'll hand it over to you, is we need to really figure out what defines the ARC, what they should be doing versus what management should be doing, and what they are currently doing. Are they going out and looking at site properties prior to approving, pool installs, things like that? Are they physically checking the paperwork and looking for where easement is? Where are the digs coming for access to these pools? These have been kind of questions that have been popping up and causing some issues as of late. In addition to, should they be following up on these projects or should management be following up on these projects? These are all good questions. Anyone have any suggestions or ideas on this? Mark, do you have anything proposed for this?
Tommy, can you hear me okay? I'm having some computer issues here.
I can.
Loud and clear.
Okay, sounds good. So just giving it a cursory glance, I think that I feel that this requires a change to the ARC committee covenants, the documents, and we write in there that the ARC committee is responsible for the re-inspect. This becomes, because the chairman of that committee is right when he points out that it is not delegated to them as their responsibility. So on a procedural note, we should vote to change the document, make the edits, put it for review, and then make it a formal responsibility of the ARC committee.
For a pre and a post inspection?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep, absolutely.
it's logical. Whoever looks first should look second.
I agree. Mark, do you want to put in a motion for that?
So let's see, what would we be motioning? We'd be motioning to review the document and develop verbiage that tasks the ARC committee to conduct a pre and post inspection.
Well, there's reference to the art committee in multiple documents too. So which document you talking about, their charter specifically? The committee charter?
The committee charter specifically would state that.
Now, when we can
Right,
change
because
pretty
in the chart, in the committee charter, it outlines their duties and responsibilities, of which inspections are not listed.
Right. Concur.
I think you could go ahead and make a motion to make that change and then give a draft for the next meeting. Seems logical, right?
You know, I say, let's pause on the motion. We're gonna throw it back in the old business. Mark, do you want to doctor that up and bring it to the next meeting and we'll vote it in?
I think it's probably the best way to do it. We just make a draft and then we give everybody a chance to review it before the meeting. Everybody can, if they have any problems, bring it to the meeting and we can vote on it then.
Perfect. Since we're doing a draft, I don't think we need an official motion for it, but
No.
sounds like we're all in favor. It's a great idea. Let's do that.
All right, sounds good. I got that for action.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Last but not least, Sagewood paver install for the sitting area. I did include photos on the PDF as well. I hope everyone had the opportunity to take a look at that. This is an area in Sagewood that residents wanted pavers, kind of mocked up some of it themselves. James has remedied that fairly fast, carved out the area, made it look appropriate. The benches are in their proper spot now. They just need to be stained. That falls on maintenance anyhow. So they want pavers. I say we give it to them. They have the budget for it in their line item. And if anyone has any questions, I mean, I would go with dynamite fence. I've used them in the past. They've done my mother's house, turned out great, and they come in at a good price.
That's the quote I have from.
I've used them, they did it.
Hey, guys.
Very responsive.
Very good. Okay, I'll put in a motion to approve dynamite fence for Sagewood paver install.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Did we lose anyone?
And that's coming from the Sagewood landscaping deal.
That is coming from,
Their tree line item,
Okay.
yeah, because they've done their tree work for this year. We put a lot of money in there.
there's a ton of money in there. And,
I know where what's going to show up, just what I was asking. So,
Hey, Tommy, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Mark, yeah,
I got it.
I hear you, Mark.
Hey, we need to make sure, just as a note, we need to make sure we get before and after pictures of that construction work over there, those benches and those pavers. Over.
For sure. It might say in my agenda, we have all the befores and we'll get afters. For sure. Okay, so
Yeah, there's pictures in my hand.
here's pictures here. I said, yeah, we have after pictures, plenty of them. We will get the befores. Resident input, open input time. Anyone have anything? Is there anything open on Zoom there? Nothing?
Yeah, nobody said anything yet.
Okay. Anyone here? Come on, Jason, you got something.
I'm sure you can come up with something.
No, not you.
Because I figure we have to work on the upcoming financials anyways, for the TMS for June, so that's the big thing.
Okay,
Nothing has come through.
all right. A motion for adjournment.
I motion.
Meeting adjourned.
No way, it's only 6:45.
See, Will, I promised you we'd have a quick
My
one.
wife just walked in the door. She just walked. in.
One quick one.
So that worked out.
Oh, I did have these, by the way, guys.
So if you will sign
I will.
these three.
These are just to